before.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on. You always just have to run back. I've been given, like... International break. The show must continue. I've got a gal in the building. People, deluded. I'm back again. We're going to speak about Chelsea. I've got a couple of other talking points I want to run over. How you doing, my guy? You good?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing? Everything blessed?
I'm good, man. You don't seem upbeat. When we beat Chelsea, you're normally a bit more energetic, broski.
Bro, we beat Chelsea every year, at least once, so it's not a big deal. Like, I don't remember the last time Chelsea beat us. Was it Lukaku?
Yeah, Lukaku and Pablo Mari. Thomas Tuchel days.
Bro, listen, we got a lot to talk about, so I feel like I'm going to be very defensive on this show, or I can already tell by the title.
Calm down, man. Calm down. You don't need to be Mikel Arteta with mid and low blocks, man. Be expansive in your football today. You're good, my guy. Before we get into Chelsea,
did you watch the Atletico Madrid Barcelona game?
Yeah, I saw the highlights. I didn't watch the 90.
Bro, I was watching the 90, and when Atletico Madrid scored their first goal, I'm like, this game's done. Then Barcelona get a goal. Immediately, they make it 2-1. I think Arsenal have got me in the mindset that 2-1, the game's done.
You really feel that way about Arsenal?
I just feel like that's how we play, where if we're up 2-1, the game should be done. If we're down 2-1, the game might be done. But Barcelona go and slap 2 more in, and I'm like, what the fuck? This is not normal.
But hey, and hopefully we get past Real Madrid, and maybe Barcelona would be a factor beyond that. Yeah, but I want to ask you something before I get into. I want to ask you about Eddie Howe and all of these things. But I actually want to ask you, like, many people will sit there and they obviously saw Liverpool lose yesterday. Yeah? Like, do you think it's a case of Liverpool are a good side, or they're that good, or is the rest of the league dead?
Liverpool are a good team, not a great team. That's pretty much what it is. They're good enough to win the league this year because other teams have had their own struggles, and that's no fault of their own. They are good enough to win the league, and they deserve it if they win it. But they're not a historic team. That's just the reality. They don't have anything about this season that is going to leave them as historic. The only thing that's going to be historic is probably Mo Salah's goals and assist record, if he can break both of them. I think it's been a carry job by one individual in the attack, and immediately when he's not performing up to the same standard, the rest of the team can't perform. So yeah, it's not that Liverpool are not great. It's not that Arne Slot's not doing good, but I don't think I don't think either this Liverpool team or Arne Slot will be remembered heavily for a historic season. It's just they won the league. And if they don't ever win another league at the time that he's here, he could be remembered the same way Antonio Conte is. He had one good season.
You don't think that's harsh because he's taken over after a talismanic figure like Jurgen Klopp? He's probably overachieved in what was the expectations of Liverpool. They went out. It's been a bad week for them. They lost in a cup final where they had to play 180 minutes. They lost to Atletico, but he's won another Premier League trophy, which Liverpool in my lifetime and yours haven't been exposed to. It's their first post Klopp. Bit harsh to say it won't be remembered, surely.
It all depends on what they do next. If they keep Mo Salah, keep Van Dijk, and keep generally the rest of the core of the team together and add Alexander Isak, they could be back here next season and potentially win it a second season in a row. But if they don't, it's really going to see. I'm going to have to see what their owners do, because I think Arne Slot's done a really good job. But at the same time, I don't think it's all down to his brilliance. I do think he deserves a lot of credit for some of his substitutions and some of the changes, and being able to win a league title with Darwin Núñez as one of your striking options. But I really do think it's been a carry job in the attack. The defense and midfield has been solid, but how do they redo their attack with Mo Salah gone? How did they rebuild with Van Dijk out? Because this season was not phase one. If we're going to talk about phases, and Eddie Howe in a second, this is not phase one for Arne Slot. He came into a team that's already in phase 5. Time to deliver. and they didn't
Is that
deliver.
fair?
They didn't deliver the last couple of years. Now I get it, new manager needs time, but you genuinely tend to need time when your team is a mess. If you come into a team that's competed for the league, you somewhat are expected to compete for the league, and
There's
that's
a
how it
base.
is
I
at
agree with that.
Bayern. That's how it is at Real Madrid. That's how it is at Inter and Liverpool. As much as they didn't win the league last 2-3 seasons, that's partly down to how great Man City have been, partly down to them retooling and rebuilding. And when Man City fell off, they were ready. When Man City fell off this time, they were ready.
Which
And
we should have been.
it's really on us to look at ourselves and say where did we go wrong? And I'm not even going to talk about referees and everything else right now.
Someone's saying you weren't saying that at the beginning of the season. I don't know what they're talking about, but go
No,
on.
no, no, I wasn't. I wasn't expecting Liverpool to challenge. I wasn't expecting Mo Salah to have a historic season. For anyone to sit here and tell me they expected Liverpool to go on to win the league, you're lying to yourself. This is a shock. And that's why it's so respected and so rewarded and so spoken about in such a nice light. But the wheels could come off quite quickly with 2 pieces gone in the summer. Forget about Trent. Trent leaves or stays. I think they can manage sorting out a right back situation. You lose 2 of your key players in the defense and the attack. That's you having to retool 2 key areas and try to replace club legends, maybe Premier League legends. Actually, they are Premier League legends.
No, the Salah's definitely a Premier League legend.
Van
Van
Dijk
Dijk
is
as well.
definitely a Premier League legend
Trent
too.
as well. Like the 3 of them are.
I think Salah, Van Dijk, Trent are in Liverpool's all-time 11. No debate for me. I'm not a Liverpool fan, but Liverpool fans tell me if you think otherwise. And in the Premier League all-time 11, I think all 3 of them have a case, but I don't think Van Dijk gets in because there's been so many great centre-backs. And Trent, he's fighting Gary Neville and some next guys. Like, really and truly, with the way the right back position has transformed, it's safe to say Trent is one of the most talented right backs to ever play in the Premier League.
I think that's fair. Apparently, Mikel Arteta has only been managing 2 years less than Arne Slot. Like, when I look at this season, I think of what ifs. Like, again, Liverpool deserve all of their credit. They're running away with the league. Whether the league is poor and they're included, if they're at the top and everyone's below, you got to ask yourself that question, innit? But Liverpool ran with whatever they're running with, in my opinion. Like, I don't think we're 12 points worse off a side than Liverpool, but statistically we are in it like that. I don't think they're 12 points better than us across a 38-game season. But whether we didn't do something or they did, it is what it is. But then how do you look at it? Because we've had stability. Onslaugh's only been managing 2 years longer than Mikel Arteta. I agree with what you said about, the base was kind of there, but you could caveat that with they did their manager dirty with their transfer market. You mentioned the 3 deals that are running down. Beyond that, it's probably paper talk, but the Canates, the Darwin Núñezes, they're all linked with moves away. And I must admit, I have watched Liverpool this week, especially after losing that cup final. And beyond the obvious, I kind of felt like, what if we did certain things? What if we didn't do certain things? It's like, how do you look at the fact that Onslaught's been there 2 minutes and he's won a league title, and then us, where we've been knocking on the door but ain't got it over the line recently, to say the least?
I personally think Arsenal fans are impatient because of the fact that we've been so close the last couple of years, and a certain set of the fans are trying to put pressure on the manager. But I don't think there's no pressure on Arteta from the board, from actual fans who are always in the stadium backing the team. We would see more uprest with match-going fans if they actually did not back Arteta. As for your question about Arne Slot, could you rephrase it? Because I think I missed the main premise of the point.
Like the fact that he's joined the club, been there 2 minutes, only been at Liverpool 2 minutes, only been the manager 2 years longer than Arteta, and he did do well in the champs. Fair enough, they've gone out. They did get to a cup final. They did go out the FA Cup, but he's already arguably performed better in the cups than Mikel Arteta, and he stands to do something that Arteta hasn't done, which is win the title. So it's like, that's what I was asking you, and kind of what you said there. Like, with that being said, is it a bit unfair to say Arsenal fans lack patience, my guy?
I think it is fair to say certain set of Arsenal fans don't know what they want. Do they want sustained success? Do they want instant success? And or do they just want one trophy and they'll meet their satisfaction for everything? Because we could easily go the route of try to win now and buy a bunch of players that could end up becoming flops and then screw ourselves over in the foreseeable future. The club could show ambition and be like Chelsea and buy a bunch of useless players. You could show ambition and be like Manchester United and buy a bunch of useless players. sometimes I feel like we conflate what we want as fans as what is the best decision for the club, and we don't always have all the answers. Hence why we don't have Madison right now. We don't have Basuma right now at our club.
Thank the Lord.
You know what I mean? Those are two players that the club did not look at as reasonable options, but the fans were saying they're available. We should get them, and it's like we don't have all the answers. You know what I mean? As for Arnie Slot, I do think there has to be an element of looking at ourselves and saying we messed up. That should be us, especially with Man City falling off. But I am not going to go to the grand conclusion that Liverpool are going to be there and thereabouts next season. And I'm not going to go to the grand conclusion that they're going to fall off. I need to wait and see what they do next. Because if Arnie Slot comes in and does this his first season and then they sustain it and they go and win it again next season, then I could just be like, yo, superior manager, and he's one of the main driving forces. But if everything falls off, and we go and take our time and we start delivering, are then people going to say, oh, you know what, they won it last year but we just weren't ready, now we're ready? Because I do think this season we've now added elements to our game that we didn't have the last couple of years. We have some youngsters that can actually cover Bukayo Saka, cover in the midfield. We have some youngsters that we've now officially finally have a back four, I feel like, of defenders that can actually defend, be it Ben White and Timber on each fullbacks with the centre back pairing, be it Miles Lewis-Kelly and Ben White, be it Miles Lewis-Kelly and Timber, be it Timber and Miles Lewis-Kelly. There's just so much more options in that defense.
You didn't mention Calafiori, but
I didn't have to, because Calafiori is still a little bit. I have questions over his defensive.
He needs a crash course defensively, and then
I have questions over his defensive capabilities, and I do think we have cover in the centre back positions if we throw in a Ben White or Timber in there also, or Calafiori or whatever you want to do. But I do think the defense is sorted. Where we're gonna have trouble is fixing that midfield and the attack. But Deluded, we don't need 7 or 8 players like the League Gunners and Northside would make me believe whenever I speak to them. We don't need all that.
I disagree, but I agree. Like I don't think we're gonna get 7 players.
But look at Liverpool. They have major holes in their squad. They still win.
Yeah, but that you mentioned, we'll get onto the sustained success. But where I look at Onslaught, and one thing that I rate highly is I agree with something you said in theory, like in that next season there's more questions, because I feel Onslaught, one thing that's helped him is he's made, naturally, if you're joining a club after Jurgen Klopp, you can't, like, it's like joining after Sir Alex Ferguson or Wenger to a degree. You can't make too much dramatic changes. You can't change everything. I don't know what Onslaught's true style of play and all of that things is. I do think it's very different from Klopp. I think he's added 1-2 little things. He's not reinvented the wheel. He's kept everybody fit. I don't think Liverpool fans or Onslaught will be happy with the transfer market nor the backdrop of the contracts. And they're at the pinnacle, innit? You won the Premier League. The only way is down, so you could be in issues with that. Where I agree, I agree with Northside and League Gunner and big them up and big up yourself, is for me in that I don't think we're going to get 7 players, but I do think I can make a case of such. And I only say that because in the summer we're gearing up for our 4th year of fighting for a title, right? We all know about periodization. I can't say it, but periodization, cannot say the word, but just having a period of a squad in it. This is about the best part of this squad has been together for 3 years fighting for a title, right? Next year would be the 4th. Give or take.
He'll say 7.
He's bugging out. Caicedo this is why you should never lie in life. And I saw that and I spoke on it on my stream yesterday. A man's talking about 7 years, and I looked at the squad from 7 years ago. Wenger was there, like Joe Willock was there, like just a shameless, dirty liar. And you would have thought with Caicedo, someone that was twerking to sign for this football club in January, he would know exactly what we're going on with. But less of that guy and more, we can focus on an actual 100 million man that was worth it. But getting back to this now, in that the vast majority of these squads have been together for give or take 5 years. 3 of it has been fighting for a title. I think naturally with that, when I started looking at where we are, it wouldn't surprise me that obviously you've seen how Tini was once in our squad to where he is now, evolution of Bukayo Saka, certain players like the Zinchenko's, the Gabriel Jesus's, they're kind of squad players. So I do think naturally there's going to need to be a bit of a change in that regards and naturally replenishing stuff. And that's actually one thing I'll give the players credit for, regardless of how I feel about the season, in that I haven't seen your heads drop. That is one reason Arteta would need to leave. If I see when you see players check out mentally and they're not playing for the manager and whatnot, that's when you need to kind of leave, in my
You know, the
opinion.
only
But
time I thought that happened when we lost
when
3 games in a row and we're sitting 20th after 3 games. Remember that?
dark times, mate, dark
I
times,
thought
dark
that was
times.
when I seen the dressing room go. But it wasn't the dressing room. It was just the confidence of certain individuals. They had no confidence. Big up to that guy. You know, somebody said something in the comments earlier. Can you pull it up? I think it's the Newcastle fan. He posted something about, where is it? No,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, let me get, yeah,
hold
but
up.
let me, yeah, yeah. I
Royce
don't,
Sandeo. He's
I
speaking
almost
about
lost.
academy players. You
Yeah,
spoke
I'll
about
get it up.
academy players so many times.
I'll
They
get it
don't.
up, but I almost lost my point. Yeah, as I was saying with Lee and Northside, I agree with them in that you could make a case of 7. I think you need a striker. I think you need a winger. I think you need a central midfielder. Beyond that, I think you need a goalkeeper or 2. I'd be amazed if we don't sign another defender. So give or take, that's about 6 names. But got
I
moving
think
on.
5 or 6 is realistic.
5, 6, 6,
Because the
7,
goalkeeper
like
is a lock, 2 midfielders, 2
a
attackers,
defender, 2
and
attackers,
a
a centre
defender.
mid,
That's
and
6.
also asterisk because we don't know what Arteta wants as well. Like he might
I
want
think
something
6
completely
is
different.
I think 6 is pushing it, but realistically, we're gonna subtract without adding in certain areas.
And that's where the issue is. But
Defensively.
for me, there's no difference between 5 or 7. I think we're all kind of in, let's call it 6. That'll be the medium. I think everyone's in agreement of that. But you asked me to bring up this comment.
No, the
Eddie Howe
first
was
one,
in phase 3.
the beer with heaven, Obi Martin.
Which one do you want me to bring up first, my guy?
The
Big up
beer with
Karma and
heaven,
Mumwood.
Obi Martin, because that one was. I think
Which
people
one?
get too caught up on this.
That one.
The Beerith one, the one right the one where he's talking about Beerith 10-11, where 2-11. I mean, he basically said we don't have those guys. It could have been better if we had these 3. I'll be honest. There's no guarantee Beerith is doing what he's doing in League here at Arsenal. We've seen guys go over to the French league, bag almost 20 what was it, 15 goals in their first season, and they couldn't even get game time at Arsenal because their touch was too heavy. The defending in the Premier League is just a lot tighter and maybe as physical in the French league, but I feel like people are a lot tighter to the defender and they don't worry about the pace as much. Where in the French league maybe they're a little bit standoffish, and it gave players a little bit more time on the ball. As for Heaven and Obi Martin, we offered them money. Manchester United offered them more. They wanted to move on, get
Well, I think
guaranteed
that's
game
it's
time.
a bit dishonest. They won't. Money wasn't the primary reason.
Get guaranteed game time also, and a phase for development. And what's best for their careers is best for their careers. I
Facts.
don't fault
At the
them
end of the day,
at
they're playing
all.
professional football. It is what
I
it is.
honestly wish them the best. I'm not one of these guys who says I'm gonna root against Obi Martin or make banter posts. You know what? People are
They're
gonna ban.
17 years of age, 18. Nah, that's one thing I respect about you, gal. You don't do that. That's something I find very weird with football. I understand this tribal and whatnot, but at the end of the day, they're just young players giving out their dreams. Now they could have moved to United and it doesn't work out. They might not necessarily guarantee to make it at United, but they're closer to realizing their dream than there was at Arsenal. And that's not an Arsenal United thing. That's just the reality of being a footballer. You've got to do what you've got to do to get to where you get to. You mentioned Mika Beref. I agree in that. I don't think he's bagging all of those goals. It's one thing doing it now. You've got to go do it for years. I think we could have held on to him and made some money. But at the end of the day, the point is these young players got to go and seize their future. You go back 10, 20 years ago, you wouldn't see Heaven or Obi Martin leave Arsenal for United, even if they wanted to. I like the fact that these young players, even going back to Sancho and them guys, they're fearless. If you fail, at least you tried, didn't it? Rather than what if? Because the alternative is you just stay at the club.
We made 4 million off him.
Yeah, no, at the time, Studgrass it was a club record buy for them. I just wish, because I said it in the summer, I think he would have been one. And this is that without me knowing anything. This is me. He is one for me. I'd have extended his contract, loaned him out again. So if he had a season like this, I'm not even saying to bring him back. You know where I'm going with it. There's money to be made, but that's not even a better thing. I just think as a club, we need to do that a lot more because it's nice to see the players coming through. But I do think we need to make a lot more of our Highland talents. But we're digressing. Go on with what you're saying with Obi Martin and Heaven.
Talking about sales, if we get a big offer for a player, would you sell any of our players?
Slow down, bro. I've got you covered. We're gonna get into that. Slow down, nigga, bro. We're gonna get into that. I've got some not unpopular things to ask you, but I want to play a bit of devil's advocate, especially kind of when we start speaking about Chelsea. Do you agree with this? Arteta has to win a trophy next season, in my opinion, just as Arne Slot ain't a better manager than Klopp. But after 5-6 years, players have heard it all from a man. You need different ideas. I must admit, I'm conflicted with that because I do think the players are still with Arteta and I think there should be question marks. But naturally, I do think they're right. Sometimes you might need a different voice or another way of going about things. But you're the man. You're the main man here. How do you feel about that? I think. Are you muted?
No.
Oh.
I'm just thinking. I'm like, which
No,
it
I saw
depends
your
what
mouth
room
moving
you're
and
in.
there was no talking. I was getting scared. Is their
I
connection?
think what
But
room
go
are
on.
you in? Because depending on which room you're in, you're gonna say to yourself, Klopp built the team. Klopp left Slot in a really good situation, and he just needed to come in and make a couple tweaks. Now, if you say Arteta is gonna leave Arsenal in a really good situation, and someone else can come in and do a lot of tweaks and get us to win, fair. But at this moment in time, I don't think Arteta needs to leave because I
We
don't
never
think
saw Mika
he's
Berth in an Arsenal shirt. But go on. Jay's being a bit dishonest
yeah.
with that. But go on.
I don't think I don't think Arteta needs to leave because Arteta he does need to deliver, and I would say next season is the cutoff. And the only
Let's delve
reason why
into that. Go on.
I would say that is because whatever happens this summer, I feel like they know is do or die to a sense of like we need to start showing some return on investment as
I was
it's
like
getting
last year,
really
man.
it's getting really close to the point where some of our guys like William Saliba is getting a lot of pressure from one of the biggest clubs, and we need to start delivering to tell these guys to stay, encourage these players to stay. And for how long can we tell players, you know what, come to our club, we're gonna get there, we're gonna get over the line, you can become a club legend. Eventually it gets to a point where it's like, well, you already have one of the best squads in the league. You already have one of the best this. You're only missing an attacker. But if we then go and improve that attack and the midfield is weak, we have a problem. So they need to get the midfield and the attack right, which is making me which, you know what, Deluded? I'm confident about next season because I'm hearing the right things.
What are you?
Hopefully,
Let's slow down and delve into that. What are you confident about next season, and what are you hearing to give you that confidence?
one, the Zubamendi links, the Bruno G links, the links to Arsenal wanting to go and get a left winger in Nico Williams.
But they ain't
trying to
signed,
push
bro, and we heard that last year.
I know, but I'm just hearing the targets that I would want to hear as a fan, and I don't know if these are fake news or whatever, but the targets that we're hearing and the people we're hearing it from, the likes of David Ornstein, the likes of Fabrizio saying it, it gives me a little bit more confident that we are actually going to try to have the summer that we expect to have, where this past summer it was always the Cescos and the
Let's call it for what it is. Last summer was a failure by everybody.
last
I'm
summer
not here
was
to blame Arteta or the board. Everybody's in this. Everyone failed. We didn't make the team
last summer was
stronger than we
worse than
needed to be.
16.
That was the Czech summer, isn't it?
Yeah, because at least
Nah,
that
not quite
summer,
as bad as that, but as I see why you would say that because
bro,
that
at least
season
the
makes
check
me
made
mad.
a big difference. Who did we sign this summer that made a big difference?
But that's where I think this summer is worse because under the quote unquote context is of we finished 2 points off City. We heard a lot of. Remember, you said you like to hear the things people are saying. We finished 2 points off City. They were very bullish on the last day against May. You look at that summer, there was no game changer. So I think under the context of us trying to fight and a bit of what you said earlier, and that us Arsenal fans had to have that conversation that if City ever do fall off, we're the ones to pounce. I think that's, I hear why you'd say that, but I just think maybe recency bias, but that summer was a big L because of what we was trying to go into this year fighting for, man.
You know what? Because Saka and these guys don't get injured, maybe it's a different story. But at the same time, if we would have strengthened more in the summer, maybe they don't get injured. And we
Well,
need to
maybe we're
do
able
it.
to cope with their
And
injuries slightly more.
I hope that is the takeaway from the season. Strengthen more, you have less injuries, more rotation, you can compete more in all competitions. Because we competed, but we're competing with the arm behind our leg, arm behind our back.
I'm
And I hope
blindfolded, man.
that is Deluded. I think they've learned from this season, and I hope they have, because it does look like they've learned from the Cedric and Pablo Mari situation in the past, where they don't do stupid signings just for the sake of it. Bodies are not just bodies. At a certain point, they become liabilities. And that's not a bar that I learned. I just literally said that on the
I like that, I'm gonna copy that still. That sounded, that sounded lit. I like that. I have to pull you up on something though, and be a bit of a devil's advocate. You mentioned Arsenal fans are lacking patience. Now it's well known, and again, I'm not criticizing you for changing your mind. Everybody's allowed to change their mind. I know in the world we exist in with football, if I think Saka is the best left back in 2015, I can't believe it in 2025. Things can change, right? But you did say last season, Mikel Arteta, you kind of have to deliver, right? You just mentioned Arsenal fans are lacking patience. If it's kind of the gloves are off next season, like you kind of got to deliver, aren't you lacking patience then?
No, because it's getting to a point where we have to look at the the project as a whole and be like,
Project's done,
no,
bro. It's now to need to win shit. I can't
yeah,
lie to you.
the project as a whole, we have done that. We've fixed the defense. We've somewhat had one of our most stable midfields in, I would say, 2 decades.
I agree.
If we cannot identify and go and get an attacker and go and get ourselves sorted in that attacking phase, and Arteta brings in players and it
Had 2
doesn't
years
work,
to do that.
I'm not gonna sit here and say, you know what, well, he's now got his attacking players and we need to give them time. Bro, you need to know what you need and how you can embed them into the team, because it's pretty obvious what our issues are. And I'm not going to say, oh, give him another year. At that point, we might need fresh ideas. We might need a different style or a different tactic to go and get over the line, because it's the same message at that
They've heard
point.
that voice for about 5 years
Because
now.
the change this season is Edu leaving. The change next season, if everything is the same, it can't be the directors leaving again. It can't be the owner leaving. At that point, it's gonna have to be the manager leaving. So whatever everybody says, next season we're not going in doing the same thing. We've already changed something, and not because of our own decision either. Edu basically chose for us. He said, "I'm out of here," and yeah.
You mentioned sustained success as well. I want to ask you about that. What does that mean? Because I get where you go. I think in an ideal world, assuming everybody stays together,
multiple league titles.
are we going to do that though? Because I don't think that can be done unless you do the City thing. I don't think that could be done. I hear why you'd say that. And I'm not necessarily against it, but like I do think some people would, not necessarily that you're saying this, but some people would hear that, and some people have that thought. But it's the assumption that when we finally get these missing pieces to go with the positives at this club, we're just going to win all the time. Now we could have won 3 Premier Leagues in a row, fair enough, but is that an urban myth? Because it's getting competitive now, like sustained success. So like a 5-year period, we've got at least 3 to 4 of those Premier League trophies, maybe a champs or domestics.
I'm looking at the age of our back four.
You got any graphs?
I'm looking at our goalkeeper, 27, 25 age gap for the back four and the defense. The midfield, Declan Rice, Odegaard, reasonable age. You look at Saka. As much as we don't rate Martinelli, some people don't rate Martinelli. He's probably
no Martinelli slander shall be accepted. He should have the golden.
He might be here. Ethan's quite young. I think going into next season, majority of the team will be around 25, 26 and above, and will be now going into our prime years. This is where you see the best of the best from players. And I do think, I wouldn't be surprised if from now going into their 30s, this team, the shell of the team, just goes from strength to strength. And
they're not going to stay together that long.
We see ourselves go through the phase of what Liverpool have been doing the last couple of years, or at best what Man City were doing for the last couple of years. But we just need to go and add that final attacking piece to the puzzle, or a couple attacking pieces to the puzzle to give us more unpredictability, more game changers, because that's what we lack.
As Arteta says,
we are everything that a football club wants to be defensively, in the midfield, and how we terrorize.
I'm not sure about in the midfield yet, but certain tactical aspects, I agree with that.
Listen to the guy from Nottingham Forest speaking about us. What's his name?
Yeah, no. That's where I agree with you. That's why I said tactically. That's the stuff I've always said. Mikel Arteta, when it comes to, you've obviously got a lot of question marks because I don't think you're amazing at everything. No coaches, but purely a coach in front, you're great at that. The way people speak about us, how you stifle teams, and how difficult it is to play against us, and all of that, and that micromanaging stuff. I like that from Arteta. My thing is just getting over the line, and I also feel indirectly it might not all be his fault, because me and you could speak about transfers, but I do think Arteta makes his own issues. I feel it's not easy, but I think the low blocks are like our struggle to consistently try a new approach, let alone break low blocks, is because of how he's setting up. So I hear all of that. That's why I said coaching. All of that stuff I hear. I don't know if the club want to be sustained success, and if they do, I don't know if their success and mine are two very different things. I think they'll be happy to win a Premier League, but the rest.
And looking at, I think the construction of our team and looking
around, I think
around
it's a fallacy if we think for 5 years this team is staying together. Like the actual players we love, I don't think that's the case. That's just not how it works.
Even if the likes of Saliba leaves, or we end up moving off,
and we might bring in people of equal better quality as well.
We could always transition this team from what we are right now, a controlling team, to a transition team, because but we need to get rid of the likes of Odegaard. But we'll talk about that another time. My thing is, I think Deluded sustained success for Arsenal, for me, means multiple league titles and continuing to challenge for the league and the Champions League from now until 2035.
Uh, oh, 10-year period.
That I think Arsenal, if we can do something like that and be competitive from now for the next 10 years and continue to evolve our team, we now are getting into a realm where we can pick up multiple league titles and maybe a Champions League.
Okay,
You
so let's
cannot
strip
think,
that back, yeah, because you jumped the gun with
and,
10
then,
years.
and don't think Arteta's going to be here for that whole period.
Exactly. And that's why I said I don't know if the club, because there's just certain football clubs, regardless, certain things are going to go. I know we want to be good. I don't know if we want to be great. Funny enough, that's one thing I can't accuse Arteta with. It's more how we're going to get about it. But it has to be from the same hymn sheet. You got to remember.
Say one thing about the Cronkies, though.
Yeah, I don't know if they want that, because before Pep Guardiola walked in at City, they set up things.
Their other sports teams have all been successful recently, and they've been successful based on their know-how and their ability to get stuff done where other people aren't. And hopefully,
I think we're more likely to see us qualify 10 years in a row from 2025 to 2035 than for 10 of those years, 5 Premier Leagues or whatever. And I'm not necessarily asking that. We're Arsenal Football Club. I mean, of course, everyone would want to do what City done, or anyone that's achieved anything in football that's a treble or invincibles would want to do that every week. I don't know if the club want to do that. Forget Arteta. Huh?
Look at Liverpool.
They haven't had sustained, like the sustained success you're talking about. They haven't had that. They've had some battles and they've won trophies, but sustained success is City.
Okay,
in this
maybe
current
we have different definition of the word.
Because
what do you define as sustained success? Because I define sustained success as a team.
It's your metric. I'm trying to understand what you mean, because you said 2035. So I'm going over what you're saying.
A team that is competitive, that can continue to challenge for a league title for multiple years onwards.
Well, I mean, if that's the metric, quote unquote, I don't think we've challenged this year, but we've done that for 3 years. I won't be surprised if we do it for 4. So even if we were to say a 10-year period from 2022, 23, you would kind of hit that. Sustained success for me, it goes into not resting on your laurels, which I think we do, not having windows like we had in the summer when there's something to build upon, making sure we can make some money off our academy prospects. We've actually turned a new leaf, I feel, in being a bit more proactive with signing new deals, getting the Sakas and whatnot dealt with. These are the kind of things I think the club would like to win. And I'm not even talking about Arteta, I'm talking about us as a whole. I don't think it's a minimum requirement. What do you say?
Where do trophies come in?
Trophies are there. They need to be there. I think, don't get it twisted. Within these last 3 periods, nobody can tell me we shouldn't have won an FA Cup. In fact, since Mikel Arteta won his FA Cup, we've done poor in that. There's no reason why we shouldn't have been in the final last year. And on Sunday, and we definitely should have went out against United. This has been a poor attempt at winning a Premier League title. The Champions League is the dream, in it. That's the one where I'll be like, you know what, we ain't really got pedigree in that, but we should be picking up domestic trophies like Klopp was doing, to a degree. We should be doing that. Trophies are there. We're on a 20+ Premier League drought, and within these last 3 years, as we discussed, within these 3 years, you should have won it, bro. Last year, it should have been there. 2022, 23. All right, I'll cut you a bit of slack. This year, I don't think it's been good enough. Last year, it should have been there. So that's it for me. We've got certain elements already. Don't get it twisted. But sustained success for me is doing a bit what I've seen City doing what I've seen a bit of Madrid doing. And I think that's a fallacy. Why I say it's a fallacy is because it's gone from a top 4 to a top 6. And Newcastle not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. City not going anywhere. Not everyone's going nowhere, and it's getting more competitive. So I don't know how you can do that in the Prem unless you're on what City are on historically so far.
Right. It's a top 8 right now. Safe to say we're eating at the top of that top 8 for the last couple of years.
We're getting some free breadsticks.
All right, we're getting free breadsticks and some crazy sauce.
Yeah.
As for me, Deluded, I'm looking at whoever comes in next season. Say it's Isaac. Who's the other one? The unambitious one is Sesko, right?
Yeah.
So say we get Sesko, and we have Sesko and Havertz rotating as striker position, right? Then left wing. Say we get Semenyo. And do you want 2 or 1?
2 attackers or 2 wingers?
2 wingers or 1?
1 winger, 1 striker. Because if we get 2 wide men, I don't think we're getting a striker.
So say we get Sesko and Nico Williams, right?
I wouldn't look at it like, oh, well, but at least you addressed areas that allegedly the manager wants. 2 positions that I would like. Let's see, we can go there. I'll be cool with that.
Premier League proven player is Bruno G.
We're getting onto that, but go on. Touch on it lightly. Pause.
And then, we also get Zubimendi on top of everything that we just got. So now we've gotten 4 players coming into the team. They can be starters and can also be really good squad players if need to come off the bench for any time period. Then you look at what we have now. In the midfield, we're going to have Odegaard, we're going to have Bruno G, we're going to have Declan Rice, we're going to have Moreno, we're going to have Zubamendi. Did I miss somebody?
I don't think so. I mean, Wanyeri and Lewis Skelly could asterisk. They could be used as midfield.
So we got the 2 new midfielders plus the 3 that are staying. The 2 have already left in Partey and Jorginho. So that midfield is sorted. Then the attack. Jesus is injured, not counting him. Bukayo Saka, he's here. The new signings, Nico Williams, Sesko, Havertz. So the 4 are guaranteed. Martinelli or Trossard, one of them is going to stay, in my opinion. I don't think we sell both of them. So you pick which one. We're going to have 5 solid attackers. And then basically it's going to be the 6th piece for both the midfield and the attack is going to be Miles Lewis-Skelly, or if we start playing Zinchenko in the midfield, or Ethan in the attack.
If Zinchenko's here, I think he's gone in the summer. I actually think him and Trossard are gone because they got a year left.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's a weird one. Do you know what it is? I don't want you to forget your point, so I'm just going to say this very quickly. It's a weird one where I look at outgoings because, as you know, we might try sell some. We might not get the asking price we want. Some of these players might not want to leave. Obviously, on paper, things can change. But on paper, Kieran Tierney's gone. Partey's gone. Jorginho's gone. Trossard and Zinchenko from the summer have a year left on their deals. Now, they might stay. They might be squad players. We all know that kind of stuff happens. But I think they're 2 candidates to potentially leave to go with Kivior. But then we're not going to sell all of these guys who we can make a case to go. As you said with Tomiyasu and Jesus, they're injured.
I got a share screen. If you can
go on.
And just
can you share screen on your end, or I need to?
Yeah, I've already shared it on my screen. Just
let me remove it. Before, in fact, I don't want to be disrespectful. Before you carry on, BG, appreciate you, my mod. You said DG/Igal. I know the title is 99.9% gone and Liverpool will win it. However, given the performances this week, do you think they may fall off a bit for the remainder of the season? I think yes, but they're still above everybody else and they're out of the other stuff. Where are you at before you go on?
They don't care when they win the league as long as they win it. That's the truth.
Fair enough, and I think you said it there, man. Right, and it's a case of that's why I said it's what if, because if we was 2 points off Liverpool and they're feeling sorry for themselves like this week, you know what we could do, but it's all ifs and buts and what ifs. But yeah, show us the screen, man. Last time I shared screen, you were showing me we got the most valuable team in that, so I'm keen to see what this one is.
All right, so this is the picture. Say the bottom row stays. You replace the top 3 with Ethan, Sesko, and Nico Williams. How much better does that look?
It's a lot better than these options.
Okay, so now our attack is a lot better, right? Forget about that. If we replace it with Isaac, Sane,
which is the dream, and that would make me go really wow. Like Sesko, I'm prepared to accept. Isaac would tell me you want to win now, which is it's not gonna happen.
If we get Isaac, doesn't matter what happens, the window's automatically 8 out of 10. Next, midfield, right? The Partey, Jorginho are gone. You bring in Zubamendi by himself, we've gotten weaker. We cannot do that. We need
another physical midfielder. Can't just have Zubamendi.
That's where Bruno G and so this is why I don't think we're going to get both Bruno G and Isaac. I think we have a better chance of getting Bruno G. The midfield with Bruno G and Zubamendi, you have a better version of what do you call it? You have a better version of Jorginho at his age with Zubamendi, a younger, better version at this moment in time. And then you have a Partey replacement who's not similar to Partey, but can do the 8 and 6 similar to Partey, but not the same type of player. A little bit more of a goal threat and a little bit.
The main thing is he'd be like Partey. The one thing we need them beyond the obvious is a physical presence, because I do think if we let Partey go and we only got Zubamendi and Rice, obviously Rice is physical, but he's further forward, would be an issue. But yeah, I like the way you're moving with this. Go on.
Right. Then the defense. Everyone's talking about players can go without being replaced. I think people forget that Kieran Tierney can go without being replaced.
Oh, you agree? You sure? Because we need maybe not directly replacement, but you sure we don't need another left back or a defensive cover this summer?
We're gonna have Ben White. We're gonna have Gabriel. We're gonna have Saliba. We're gonna have Kivior maybe. Timber is gonna be there. So we're gonna have these 6 here, guaranteed. We're gonna have these 6, I think, right? I don't think Kivior leaves. Tomiyasu,
I think it's 50-50.
He's a myth. Forget about Tomiyasu. He's a myth. He doesn't exist anymore, right?
Big up Tommy, man.
The guy, he's not going to be fit until
Till
next
December at the
summer.
very earliest, give or take.
Next winter, we don't know what's going on with him. The two players who could leave without necessarily having to be replaced is Kieran Tierney and Zinchenko. I think you can. I think you could probably replace them in the aggregate with everything else that we have already. Or
Nah, I
if
think
you
you need
want to
another.
be safe,
You need another defender, gal. Come
if
on,
you
man.
want to be safe, you can bring in one more defender. But
Because we've
I
seen
don't
it.
know
We've seen a couple of these boys pick up injuries as well. Like I
what
agree with
quality
what
are
you're
we
saying
even
in
looking at?
premise. Tierney and Zinchenko, they're not really main players like that, but they've actually saved our bacons. And actually, if you assume them two were injured right now, Tomiyasu's obviously injured. It now leaves you with Timber post ACL playing a lot. All it takes is an injury and a half, and we're in issues. I think we need a left back because as much as I like Lewis Skelly, and I think he's locking it down and learning what he's learning, and I want to see him play in midfield. And I said earlier, I think Calafiori needs to go on a defensive crash course. I think if there's one injury or suspension like we've seen this season, we're in issues. I do think we need, ideally, I would have liked a more right-sided defender. I think what would help is us finding a Timber Tomiyasu versatile guy, but we definitely need a defensive adjustment or two. Because
Okay.
Kivior might leave. I don't think he will, but he's one that might have an offer. He might say, you know what, Arsenal, it's a sweet gig, but I want to play regular football, which, let's have it right, you're not going to get at this club. So I think you're downplaying what we need to do defensively, quote unquote, bro. I can't lie.
Ideally, how many defenders would you like? Because I'm saying if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Of
7.
that list, the only ones I'm trying to count in how I'm trying to move would be Gabriel, Timber. Wait, you're putting me off with the thingies. Let's go. Let's start with it's left to the right for me, innit? So Ben White, Gabriel, Timber, Saliba, Lewis Kelly, Calafiori. But then they're the ones. Obviously, Tomiyasu's my guy, but he's injured. These guys pick up knocks. Calafiori picks up knocks. I've seen Lewis Kelly pick up a knock. I do think you need another defensive
So
option.
are you saying all four, get them out of here? Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, Tierney, Kivior, in your mind.
Tierney's gone. Tierney will always have a place in my team, but at the end of the day, you're going back to Celtic, so it's a non-factor now.
What about Kivior?
Tomiyasu, pardon?
Kivior,
I'm open to offers. If you want to stay and play
25 mil, you taking it?
25, 30 mil, you can go. I'm on him staying. If he wants to be a squad player doing what he's doing right now, that's cool. We've got a body. I just wonder how long does he want to be like that, which is why I said, you know what, he might think I've got a sweet gig, but he's not going to get to whatever level he can be with not playing on a regular basis.
How much
You're not
are you
getting
willing to spend now? I'm sorry, I'm a terrible communicator today. I'm cutting you
No,
off.
it's calm.
How much would you want to spend to replace all those guys with one position, with one player? Or
it's techie, man, because you know what, yeah, I always flirt with this. Like sometimes I say I want to left back. Wait, pull it back on screen. Pull it back on the screen.
Oh, my bad. Mark Guehi, what we saying?
Nah, not the only way I'd go for a Guehi is nothing to do with him, but it's like if Saliba makes it evidently clear moving on, I'd say you got to find anything from 20 to 40 million. If you can find a Tomiyasu kind of one, a Timber kind of one, that would be ideal. Calafiori cost a lot. I do think you're looking at anything from 20 to 40 million for a verse. Ideally, as I said, it'd be a versatile defender, which is a bit. I keep saying Tomiyasu and Tini because they can play across the back line. I would like that. At a push, I'd rather a left one. Pardon me?
Are you looking for a starter?
It depends, man, because I don't think Tomiyasu is a starter necessarily, but in his form, if he gets a run of games, he could be a starter. Many people would say Ben White might not be a starter. I think we need to go back to what Arteta said in terms of starters and impactors. If you want to be a team that can compete in 4 trophies, I think that's the realm we've got to go to. Naturally, I'd want someone that can push. I'm comfortable with Calafiori and MLS, but then I also feel, you know what, MLS, he's in the honeymoon stage. He's going to make mistakes. He's obviously a marked man. Calafiori picks up injuries and is a bit of a wild card. Then you're looking at currently maybe moving Timber over there, which he's in a sweet spot on the right. I mean, somebody mentioned it here. Hato would be perfect. Can play centre half, can play left back. We just need to keep buying players from Ajax, not like Ten Hag.
70 mil plus, bro.
And this is where the issues come from. Like, that's why I said his profile. I don't know, but anything from Twerky, watching too much madness, 20 million to 40 odd million would be the base kind of salary. But then I think you're right, because then if you're talking about, that's why I said, if you could do the 20 thing and it's a different kind of profile, great. But if we're talking 50 plus, I can't see us doing that when priorities, as you rightly said, or big money investments are up front, are in centre mid, and are on the left hand side. I mean, it seems like Mikel Arteta wants that Garcia lad as well. So that could be anything from 20 to 30. Maybe we really have to come true for once on our war chest comments, man. And I don't, as I said at the start, I don't expect us to do all of this and like in terms of incomings and outgoings in a matter of weeks in the summer. But there needs to be significant business. Significant business for me would be, all right, you got me a striker, you got me a winger, you got me a centre mid. I wouldn't say I'm not happy, but I'm not happy. I'm a bit what's going on defensively, but I can maneuver with this. But I think there's a lot to do, man. I think and thank the Lord, really, that Lewis Skelly's come through to a degree. You have to big up the fact that for whatever circumstances, Tierney has stayed here. I don't know about you, yeah, but definitely in the last 2-3 years, as an Arsenal fan during the Emirates eras, I've become like accustomed lately of having good defenders, having multiple good defenders, having multiple options. I want to ask you something, yeah. Let me share my screen because we can somewhat move this. In fact, no. I'm ruining the flow. I'm ruining the flow of this. Keep your questions coming in. Huh?
You want me to put mine in the back?
Yeah, put it back, man. You lead the way. I don't want to ruin because I was gonna break away into another segment, yeah, but I didn't want to ruin it in case you had anything else to say, yeah. But
no, but I'm saying how many defenders do we need?
In an ideal world?
Let me
pull it back.
Let's look at
in an ideal world. Pull it back.
I want to see Real Madrid. Because Real Madrid squad is what people look at, right? Real Madrid have 9 defenders.
Don't do no starting 11s with Real Madrid with me here, you know.
I'm not. I'm just saying they have 9 defenders. They have an injury crisis also. And they manage with 9 defenders.
And then you're looking at the likes of Tchouaméni and Valverde who have done a job defensively. Vasquez as well.
Look at how thin their squad is. That's crazy, you know.
It is. Go back to Arsenal's one.
Arsenal, we have more bodies, but they have more quality, right?
Undoubtedly. Go back to our one. So I can't answer your question. Okay, stop there. Okay, if we remove, how do I approach this? Lewis Skelly 1, Saliba the other. If you remove Kivior with just like, I don't know, Joe Bloggs, who's a steady Eddie that replaces his role, we got confidence. That's 3. Calafiori 4, Timber 5, Gabriel 6, Ben White 7. Tomiyasu, if we could imagine him being someone that's like Tomiyasu for the squad but fit, that's 8. I think we're good there. And I wouldn't mind if, having one more, but I think that's calm. I think that would be calm. So just
the 9th
pretend 2 names
can be an academy centre back.
The
9th one can be an academy centre
back. Where are they?
Or 40-30 million we throw at the table to see.
Yeah, I'd rather do that because where are these academy guys? Like if we're talking about next season, they're not here right now.
We could do similar to what we did for Gabriel. Throw 30 million at an up-and-coming player in France or in Italy.
That's what I'm saying. Do that if you got to. That's why I said 20 to 40, 50. It all depends on the profile of what you're going after. If you can do that, in which you could argue is very different, but I think Calafiori's at the kind of... I look at Calafiori, you're a lot rawer, but I look at Calafiori in that when Gabriel Magalhaes first came through, like I said, he just needs to go on a defensive crash course. So you could say we've already got that, but I'm on doing that. I think you need about 7-8 defensive bodies, versatility, all of that jazz, because, everybody apart from Gabriel Magalhaes in that screenshot right there, you could force it and say Saliba can play right back, but everyone else can kind of fill in a couple of roles. Zinni, as you said, we're seeing him in midfield, obviously could play left back. It's crazy, but Tierney's been left wing, obviously can play left back. Timber can play all across the back 4, even though we love him at right back. Kivio, I'm not a fan of you at left back or at centre half, but you can do a job there. Calafiori can play all about the place, but needs to obviously go on a defensive crash course. So, and Lewis Skelly, I'm happy to have the conversation whether you're the next Cole or centre mid. Pardon me?
You know who I like? That Leandro guy plays for Marseille. He's 26.
They're going to ask.
Argentinian centre back.
They're going to ask a lot from him.
He plays for Marseille. How much do you think he would go for? Because he has been killing it in France. I don't know if
you know what it is with us, bro. It's the fact of we're a British club and not just us, anyone. It's like me and you guys. It's like me going on holiday to Toronto. Like I'm not a local guy in it. Probably a terrible example, but I'm not a local guy, so I'm probably gonna have to pay a bit more of a rate than the locals. And I think that same logic's applied. How many times have you seen Premier League clubs linked with someone and they don't go there, but a next club will buy them abroad? Like look at Elise. I can't remember how much Elise cost, but I guarantee if he went to Arsenal, Chelsea, this one, that one, it would have been an arm and a leg. Like even with the PSG thing, like they're linked with Isak. Isak will cost peas. It's still about 100 million.
This is who I'm talking about.
Yeah, he's lit. I wouldn't go for him because he's gonna cost a bit too much. But yeah,
I think he has already this season. He has like 7 or 8 team of the season, team of the weeks. He's gonna get into the team.
Man, he's counting team of the week.
He's 26 years old. I don't know, man. Maybe it's the NBA in me. I look at that stuff and I factor it in when I see how good somebody is. If you want to see his RB ref, you guys can go check it out. But they're saying how much would he cost right now? I don't
I
want no
mean,
madness to pop
that
up on you.
Hansen guy would be good, but ain't he got a
They're
release clause
saying,
of 50 million?
yeah, they're probably gonna say a madness. You know how it
And
is.
I don't know. Again, I don't know how much. If we've got 300 plus million excluding sales, which war chest is, then we can really do all of this. But then we don't know how much they're working with. I don't know how much of the budget is allocated to wages for the
Atletico
existing
Madrid
players,
already
etc.
want him. Atletico Madrid already want him.
So,
Just goes
so
to tell
there,
you.
there we have it. We're already on the back foot. What did you make of the Chelsea game?
Chelsea was one of the most comfortable wins we've had this season. Like I felt like we never really
They had
to
more
worry
possession than
about-
us, but only 8 touches in our box. Shows you the dominance.
Did we really get worried? Like I looked at them.
Apart from Raya's little moment.
Yeah,
Nah.
Raya bobbled the
And even
ball.
Saliba had a little moment, but literally those were a minimum. Nah.
You know what? It felt like time stopped when the ball went past the net.
Oh my!
Like,
do you know? I thought it went in doing my watch along. Like I watched it, I thought, is it gonna kiss the post and go in? The only thing I'm more annoyed about with the Chelsea game, if I'm honest, is something that has been the case all season. In that we won 1-0. We should have scored way more. Like, you should have scored way more. But we're at where we're at with that.
It should have been 5-0 again, bro. The way we started.
You see what I'm saying? Rice's volley took me by surprise because I thought he had more time. Trossard could have scored. Martinelli could have scored. Bearman could have scored. But this is on brand with the struggles that we've had for the best part of over a year. I'm happy that the top 6 record stayed. I'm happy that obviously we kept a clean sheet. Main thing is we got the 3 points. I know people, and I can't blame them, because if they sit there and say, what's the point? I've checked out. We're just fulfilling our fixtures. But that is exactly that for me. We have to try and keep some standards. Why would you not want to win games?
I don't know if you've seen it, but I was on a post-match reaction, and the guys, first thing they said is, we can't play like this versus Real Madrid. I'm like, what makes you think we're going to play like this with this?
Oh, no, we're in trouble. No, if they're talking about not finishing the chances, I'm with them with that.
No, they're saying the way we played and how we were so unintense and we were chilling. Do guys expect us to have the same level of intensity every single game, in every single match?
They can't afford to.
Especially when we're absolutely dominating, especially when we're actually absolutely beating a team easy without us even having to get out of second gear.
And that's the thing, though, man. It's the top 6 games that are, I don't want to say any games are given, but I think we've earned that right now based on our 19 games to have some level of confidence, whether we win, lose, well, we ain't lost really, or draw against the top 6. It's more the same consequential issues that I talk about week in, week out that reflected game in, game out. It's more the teams that are outside of the traditional top 6. If anyone, obviously Newcastle have our number this season. Fulham as well. Boy, we got Fulham after the international break. That will be a much difficult London derby, man. And obviously, yesterday, before we get on to Newcastle and that, yesterday was great to see us beat Chelsea. So they're having a shit day by default, and us, and obviously seeing Spurs. That's actually one thing I like as well, because I think too much people are sour in football. I think you can say Liverpool are not that good and the league's trash, and that's that, but they won it. And I think people will do this thing where nobody rates us. We beat these teams, and everyone says, "Oh yeah, but you Arsenal are not even that good, and we're rubbish as well." What does that say about you lot? It doesn't make sense.
Did you speak to any Chelsea fans?
We beat, huh?
Did you speak to any Chelsea fans since the game?
No, none of them are picking up my phone calls, my friend. It's just be humble, bro.
I spoke to Chelsea. He said to me, "You were shit. You had all the ball, you couldn't score." I'm like, "What about you?"
We'll have that. We'll have that. We'll have that.
But I'm confused. How is it a team that just came to our ground and lost 1-0 is after the game is talking to me saying, "You're shit. You had all the ball, you didn't score."
That's great. That's great. You lot can do your low blocks, do all of that. We keep the 3 points and keep it moving. That is great. They can do that. There's therefore many things we can improve on the ball, scoring, creative, breaking down low blocks, all of this. You lot call us shit. If we're that shit, make sure you take the 3 points off us. You lot do that. I wouldn't trade places with you lot. I really wouldn't. I would not trade places.
It's laughable. They've spent the money.
Fans need to stop. You're right, man. I'm not saying you do this, but I do think Arsenal fans, I'm not saying you're saying this, but I do think some Arsenal fans seek external validation from people who are not supposed to like us anyways. Like, fuck them. Like, if Arsenal struggle, like, we're a bit of an open book. We're going to have the majority of possession, not necessarily isolated today, but we're going to start well. We're going to move it left and right. We're not really going to play a tempo. If you know all of this and you can't beat us, that's your business. Like, that is your business, because you somehow been worse than us.
Arsenal fans, because there's some other Arsenal fans that will go out there and be like, "Yo, we were shit, and we beat them 1-0 still." how did we beat them? And then Chelsea fans
Set
are going to
piece. It
get
was
gassed.
lovely to score a corner
They're going
again,
to get
man.
deluded, and they're going to start saying to themselves, they played better than us. I was on a stream yesterday. Mandem were talking like we lost, and Chelsea
They
fans
can
were
do that.
talking like they won. It was
It would
nuts.
be a win. It would be a win when you're having the issues they have. But I mean, I'm sorry, but there's 38 Premier League games. You're going to win games that you should have lost. You're going to lose when you should have won. You're going to get a point in a draw, in terms of a draw, whether you deserved a bit more or less. Throughout the course of the season, it's probably going to balance out, and you 9 times out of 10 get what you want. That's their business. Like, that really is their business. Like, if that's how you can sleep at night, that's your business, innit? But do your thing. We have to praise Timber though, man. Like, not only in that game, but every game he's played, coming back from his ACL. Talk to me about Timber. Is Ben White's place gone? Are you rating Timber? Some are calling him, saying he's world class. Like, everything Timber, my guy.
Most duels, most aerial duels, most possession won, most interceptions.
Keep buying players from Ajax, man.
3 fouls. I think we just need to say to ourselves, we have some ballers in this team, and don't take them for granted, because people
Can't
always
take any of these defenders in the Emirates era for granted.
People always mention the negative signings, but they don't talk about the Timbers, the Ben Whites, as good as they actually are. I don't think people realize how good these guys are sometimes.
That's what Arteta's got to prove wrong, man, because the defensive unit, if we just bang the defensive bracket in one thing, yeah, I have confidence in you to find these defenders. Midfield, it's a bit up front. It's probably the greatest thing, but you're right. We have to. I want to ask you something with Timber. Yeah, obviously Saliba's not been the Saliba he's been this season, but he's still been a relative level, and we know he's great. Magalhaes has probably been our player of the season, so that's them two. And then I also think Timber's got a realm. Yeah, if you consider this, what we see today in Gabriel Magalhaes, Saliba, and obviously Timber. Which one do you think, if they left tomorrow, would have the biggest absent felt, if that makes sense? Or which one would you want to lose? Which one would you want to lose the most out of the 3? Difficult question.
If I had to lose somebody, it would actually have to be Timber. Out of the 3 you just mentioned, the person who would have the most effect if he was gone tomorrow is William Saliba. William Saliba makes the game easier for everybody.
You don't think Gabriel Magalhaes even allows Saliba to shine?
Because I think
he might not be the more sexiest defender.
I think they complement each other, but I think Gabriel Magalhaes' goals and everything has been massive for us.
And leadership, to be fair, leadership as well.
And leadership. But I think Saliba is basically the guy who just allows everything to go smoothly.
Rolls Royce, man.
The way he just brushes players around. The reason why we can play with such...
His last couple of games, he's getting back to a higher level.
The reason why we can play with less intensity than our opponent is because we don't have to run and jump and go crazy as much as Fofana or Badiashile were having to do the whole game. Because Saliba will just take Nkunku and push him out of the way and just take the ball off him and keep him moving.
Try harder, Chelsea fans crying about how we performed, but go on, you go.
Oh yeah, Maresca started that conversation, you know.
But that's their business. I must admit, Arsenal, this is the thing that annoys me. Yeah, and I don't think my team is the best thing since sliced bread and we're amazing and this and that. But nobody rates us. We're called overrated. All we're done is spoken on. And when we win, it's just sour grapes. Maresca shouldn't have done that. I've got a lot of time for Timber. All he does is practice his religion and dominate.
Did you see?
And we need shit houses. Pardon my French.
Final. They celebrated an emotional moment with the Newcastle fan, and the first thing they mention is Arsenal. It's actually, we live rent-free in everybody's head.
Big up, Shirley.
We're irrelevant, but they make us relevant 24/7.
I don't know. You know what? Yeah, I asked you a question without answering it. And I only asked you that because obviously it's a bit of fun during the international break. But also, I'll be honest, broski, I don't know. Because a part of me agrees with what you're saying with Saliba, but then also a part of me has made peace a long time ago. As great as Saliba is and could be, he's going to leave anyways one day. So I've kind of factored that in. A part of me also believes Saliba is better than Gabriel Magalhaes. But if they left tomorrow, I think Magalhaes' absence will be felt a lot harder, if I'm honest with you. He might not be as sexy. But then I think Timber's looking like he could be something. Between you and Lewis Skelly, it could be lit.
Let's not do that. Mbappe was in that Monaco team. We knew he was the best player, even though other players in that team were great. Saliba's the best player in this team. There's no debate.
Yeah, but the best doesn't always, as mad as it sounds, the best doesn't always mean you're the best. Like, you are the best.
Player, how about this? The player with the highest potential.
That's cool for the potential, and you're right, but it's also about winning now. And Gabriel Magalhaes is 27. I'm not saying Saliba's like this, but Saliba knows I'm either going to win things at Arsenal, or I might go PSG one day, or I might go to a certain thing in Spain. Gabriel Magalhaes maybe has that intensity because he was never been that guy spoken of. He's only, let's be honest, it's only in the last 2 years Magalhaes is getting a lot of his respect, and I'm only speaking to Arsenal fans.
And
With
Brazil.
Arsenal fans, with the chants and that now. Remember, people were saying Pablo. I remember everything, and I tweet it all the time. People were saying Pablo Mari's better than Gabriel Magalhaes, and I still think that Bozo G. It's only really now I feel, even this season, the Bozo gene thing. People are leaving him alone with that now. They're admitting. Look at the man that was compared to Magalhaes. I've heard Lisandro Martinez, Rey Mysterio. Sorry, Lisandro Martinez, Romero. Levi Cole was compared to both our centre halves. There's been Fufana. There's been bare pricks.
You do know there's been a world-class defender who had a Bozo gene that played for us in the past. David Luiz. David Luiz was world-class, but he had that Bozo gene.
Nah, David Luiz never been world-class.
David Luiz, the year when Chelsea won the league, was
quality, but world-class.
Bro, he was the best defender, and he was scoring.
You can be the best without being world-class. World-class, though.
Bro, world-class.
Big up Luiz, because he was one of the better Chelsea guys we bought.
World class for me, he is top 5. He was top 5 centre backs that time when he won the league with Antonio Conte.
I hear that. Free at the back. Does he start? Okay, world class. I'm not saying. I'm asking you to say these men are better.
Everything.
I'm not saying these men are better than like Luiz has to be better, but world class for me is the Sol Campbells, the Rio Ferdinands, I hate him, but the John Terrys, the Van Dijks. The list goes on in it. Them kind of centre backs. If it was a party, does he get in?
World class.
World class. I never said he's not top. I never said he wasn't good, but world class. World class. David Luiz, world class.
Do you classify
world class and all them man there?
Do you classify world class as gets into every lineup?
I don't even care about that. I'm just talking about if you are at your peak. If I start saying the Sergio Ramoses, the Van Dijks, the Sol Campbells, the list goes, Rios, the list goes on. If it was a party, I'm not saying you need to be buying all bottles, but do you get into that party? I don't know. Top centre half. But world class, I don't know.
You should clip world class people. I think David Luiz was 10 years too early. His career started 10 years.
I see why you'd say that because he was good with the ball and all of that kind of stuff.
If he was playing more now,
but world class, I don't know.
Because when he was playing in the middle of that back three, he was the team of the season. He was one of the best defenders, and
even performing in the back three as well.
And the issue he had was in high-profile moments, he had bozo moments. I remember PSG.
Slightly exaggerated.
I remember the World Cup. I remember moments where he had bozo moments. But he was definitely world class on his day, and I definitely do think he was.
When people start saying informal on his day, like, is that world class?
Okay, he was definitely world class the year or two when he was killing it with Chelsea and Brazil.
Fair enough. I have him as a top centre half, and you know me, I got the Brazil bias, but world class, I wouldn't have him down as world class, and that's no slight on him.
Okay, go ahead.
It's no slight on him. Like, I just don't think he was world class. Like, yeah, world class. I didn't see enough seasons of that. Even if I want to look at it in the modern game, back three as well. Top player. I think he was a lot better for us than people gave him credit, and I can tell everyone for a fact he was very good for them young players in and around when he
was also a scapegoat.
Naturally, he's going to be a scapegoat for obvious reasons. Like, I never rated Bellerin, and Bellerin made bare mistakes, but there was also a bit like Granit. There's them games when people,
Hence why I never want to buy Chelsea players ever again.
Yeah, no, but we know people get into that weird space where, by all means, praise and criticize, but then you get into that weird space like with Bellerin, who was shit. Let's have it right, where you might not have been the reason we lost, but people would be, based on the rhetoric online and around, you are the reason. I'm not a fan of that 100%. Are we in the top 4 race, or are you feeling a lot better comfy about us solidifying second now with the win against Chelsea?
We're good. 4 points. 4 points.
I mean,
now Nottingham Forest have a tough schedule, but 4 points is 4 points.
Hopefully they do their thing. I mean,
you know what? I might surprise you on this one. We score our first goal right after this. We move. Don't worry about it. Kick on.
This is why I remember when you was arguing with me last week, and I said in a nice way, I wish the world was fair. I do think Arsenal fans are crybabies with referees, but there clearly is an unconscious bias. And obviously, you could argue it's not necessarily sustainable, but 9 times out of 10, when refs have done us dirty, we need to find a way to win. We did it against Wolves. We did it yesterday. Again, there's bigger talking points with the fact that Chelsea had more possession than us, but only 8 touches in our box. We scored from a set piece. Even Raya's little shaky moment is more of a talking point. And crucially, we made it happen. But this is what I mean. Like, I don't understand how, and I'm not even wasting time on this. I'm just mentioning it. We should have had a penalty. Wesley Fofana, I can't even get at you, Fofana, because the game is the game. 58 minutes, before a yellow.
How did he not get sent off, Deluded?
What, the same man who sent off Declan Rice. And yeah, if Declan Rice was supposed to be sent off, great. But how Declan Rice got 2 yellows against Brighton by the same referee, and it took an hour mark, and I don't want to be that guy. But you look at there was a tackle. He done many Fofana in it, and he stepped on Rice. But do you remember the one where he fouled Lewis Skelly?
Sorry.
No, that one as well. But it was Lewis Skelly's one for me, purely because if you flip that and Lewis Skelly's on the yellow card and that exact thing happens, Lewis Skelly's going to prison. Like, he's already made a name for himself. Shout out to him for being in the English squad. But I just wanted to mention that, unfortunately, we need to find a way, bro. Martin Wondergaard, because you were talking about selling him. He had the most assists. He's got the most assists of any Arsenal player against Chelsea in Premier League history. He's overtaken Cesc Fabregas and Dennis Bergkamp. Now, he's not in their realm, but surely we got to give credit where due. You're turning on Odegaard, I've noticed it.
I need to see more from Odegaard. That's not impressive. I need to see more. You've had a poor season. This is not something to be celebrating.
Fair play. I mean, you look at Newcastle, congratulations to them. Eddie Howe saved them from relegation, took them into the Champions League, and they won their first domestic trophy after 70 years, after over 3 years. And, he's going down in folklore. Does that make you look at Arteta and think, boy, because I know it's not as easy as that, but he's made history. I don't think Arteta's made history at Arsenal. Of course, it's adjusted, but what phase is Eddie Howe in, as the title is saying?
Eddie Howe is in phase 3. He hasn't shown that the team can sustain success in the league and sustain anything in the league.
Nice to see their owner celebrating. We're never getting that.
They won a trophy. Fair play. That's what sometimes what it's really about. Sometimes you just want to get over the line. You don't care how you do it, especially when it's 70 years. So I hear it. The drought is over. They have one of the best center backs. I mean, not one of the best young. They
got a very good project. Once PSR allows them to maneuver, they need to maneuver.
They have a good center back, and he didn't even play. They have two.
They wanted it more than Liverpool yesterday, man.
They have 2 really good young fullbacks. They have a solid midfield with Tonali, Bruno G, Joe Linton, who was originally bought as a striker and is now playing in the midfield and killing it. Surprisingly, Daniel Murphy is killing it for them this season. Isak's on 19 goals already in the league. That is nuts.
Must be nice having a striker like that.
Best left wingers also. They've constructed a good team for the amount of money that they invested. They've constructed a really good team. I'll give it up to them. But I do think there's a little bit of revisionist history with Eddie Howe. I really do.
Such as?
It was not too long ago. I remember people were talking about Eddie Howe potentially getting sacked this season. Season. It was in between a period where they were struggling, and it was at the start of the season. At the start of the season, September going into October, people were saying he's gonna get sacked. But yeah,
is it more impressive what Eddie Howe's done at Newcastle versus Arsenal, being devil's advocate? I know it's adjusted with the clubs, with the greatest of respect to Newcastle.
I think there's more. More people are going to be impressed by what Eddie Howe's doing at Newcastle, and less people are going to be impressed by Arsenal because of the investment and how we've been close the last couple of years.
I have to credit Newcastle. I know some people, and I do think it is a factor because
little man woke up. Just 1 second, huh?
Go on. I'll carry it on. But yeah, people, Atletico Madrid, I think Atletico, Real, and who else played in the champs? Liverpool. There is something with playing extra time because all their managers moaned about it. But this is why you have squads. That Newcastle can't be held accountable. And I know that's probably a factor. And not to shit on Newcastle or praise Liverpool, but you look at the vast majority of their players, they've had better careers in terms of winning and all of that kind of stuff. I liked everyone likes an underdog, but I think Newcastle, them man, they had their own injury issues, but they were hungry, man. You could see like hungry, and it's obviously nice. Eddie Howe deserves his flowers. Dan Burn deserves his flowers. Everyone connected to the club. Shout out our boy Joe Willock. Eddie Howe's one, ended a trophy drought at Newcastle without saying any of that. Them lot down the road, please make sure your manager wins something for you lot's sake in his second year, because you already tell us we're bottlers. Arteta never come out and said we always win something in my second year. So yeah, man, Newcastle deserve it, man. And obviously, I don't think Isaac is going to be held in higher regards within the Newcastle fan base than Isaac, for example. But I imagine a bit like Arsenal fans, it's not the same. But Lewis Skelly's been in the first team 2 minutes. Can he be like Ashley Cole? That's good. That's folklore, man. It's something to buy into, and that also gasses anyone Newcastle's talking about in the summer. And that we've got our manager, we've gone from fighting relegation, we're about to get back in the champs. We want a League Cup. We're trying to build on this. The most jealous thing I'm jealous of is the fact that they won a trophy this year, naturally, because I think the League Cup was a big chance. But also, actually, their sporting director or owner or whatever celebrating the success. Now, obviously, if we was at Wembley, Stan Kroenke, let alone the man you're seeing here, probably would have been there. But you're not seeing Donny on the pitch and all of that. So, yeah, credit to Newcastle, man. And it's a seasons of coulda, woulda, shoulda, and what ifs for me, man, because
I think everyone calls the trophy tin pot if Arsenal win it. Newcastle
goalposts are always going to move. Like, we live in a day and age. If we won the champs this year, people are going to say you didn't win the old one. Liverpool have won the league, and people sat there and said you done it during COVID. Somehow, people would have found a way to shit on City's treble. I more want them to say that than anything else. The goalposts are going to move, which is why I always say I know it's difficult to accept Arsenal fans, and I'm not saying it's right. And I would love a day and age where referees and media people would have the same consistency for everyone, but they're never going to validate us. They're never going to do any of that. If we eventually win the league, they're going to say it's about time. Naturally, they're going to say you haven't retained it. I've seen goalposts move for Jose, for Pep, for Wenger, with the greatest of respect to Arteta. If those 3 Premier League managerial legends or footballing legends have seen that, who are you? So I'd rather that be the conversation than us not getting over the line. Speaking of owners, Josh Kroenke was in attendance at the Emirates, people, for the win against Chelsea. I feel in the last couple of months, even going back to January, he's been pictured in London a bit more. Does that give you any confidence that he wants to change things? And also, unfortunately for him, his moral was defaced. Are fans losing patience with the Kroenkes? Did they have to earn back Arsenal's trust for you? Any of that?
It don't mean shit, bro. This mural thing, I don't think he cares. I think he'll probably laugh at it. As for the Kroenkes, I think they know how big of a summer we're supposed to have, and it just comes with the role. Him being in the UK in the summer makes sense. No NFL, no, and best believe NBA playoff stars, he's going straight back to the States. So all this stuff about him being here, it just has to do with the fact that the NFL season's over and the NBA playoffs hasn't started yet.
I hear that. I mean, we were speaking about phases. Now we've got to this point. Yeah. Arteta, when asked on the phases, he said, we're in phase 4 to 5, establishing yourself at the highest level in the Champions League, consistently perform with a lot of unity and being very close to touching big trophies. I think his language has changed a bit from we want to win trophies to being within touching distance. But what's your thoughts on this? Because I hate this phase talk in general of all football. I think this phase thing is something that's getting jarring. I know you need phases, but yeah.
People I've seen reference building blocks to success, talking about good foundation and everything. So as much as you don't like phases, it is a thing that people are going to use as a reference point. It's just you use building blocks. He uses phases.
No, what I mean by that is it's just thrown around too much without context. I think people don't really understand why they're saying it. I just think it's almost become like speaking about XG. I just think it's one of these things in football that are just thrown around week in, week out. But go on.
I think Arteta loves mentioning things that pisses people off.
Yeah, like the injuries. He's a guy, man. Like, fair enough, man. What would you make of this? Because surely, like, even you, come on, man. When asked about if this season is a failure, we are if we don't win a silverware. If we are not there yet. The way I describe failure is different compared to what someone else does. Now, I know there's a bit of media game playing, but surely we can just call a spade a spade. It is a failure. The objectives with silverware.
What he says behind closed doors can be two different things. I think
agree.
In the heart of heart, he knows it's a disappointment. He could have used a different word, but he doesn't want to get caught out.
Do we need a striker when we're making them? Moreno's got 3 goals in the Prem since he became a number 9. Only Salah and Marmoush have scored more. Like, we don't buy strikers, we make them, surely.
Listen, James from AFTV was saying, what's the end goal with Moreno? I think the end goal with Moreno is just to have somebody who's taller and can score aerial duels.
Yeah, I just think he's a squad player. If I'm honest, I don't banner aside. I don't want to see the striker thing. Do you think it's an issue that where you look at our top goal scorers in the Prem? Kai's got 9, who's now injured and got talking points of his own. Martinelli the same, who has 6. Marino, who's really been getting a run of play of late, has 5. We know Saka is injured and the issues that presents, but he's got 5. Do you think the fact that these are our top goal scorers, or that's what it's looking like in line, tells the issue around why we need to act in the market in the summer?
I think this all comes down to how poor we've been in attack. Obviously, a majority of those players have also been injured, so it makes sense why our attack has been so poor.
I hear that. You having Sane?
Yeah,
He's ready to take a pay cut.
But he can be like a third option.
Fair. Ornstein said Arsenal and Sociedad are clashing over the fee structure for Zubamendi. Remember when I said clearly there's a remit where you look at Garcia, Sesko, Nico Williams, and Zubamendi, or there's definitely a fourth. In that there's a ballpark figure because they got a release clause. We're hitting that and we're trying to structure it in a certain way of kind of like we'll pay a bit more over more favorable terms. Does that concern you anyways?
Nah, I think it's just the transfer window silliness has already started, bro.
Fair play. What else? We're trying to go through this. You having Osman?
I don't think we're gonna get Osimhen. That's
Are
why
you having him though?
United. Would I have him? Yeah, I think he's a baller. It's just I don't think Arteta views him as the type of striker he wants.
Why is that for you? Because I agree, but it'd be nice to hear someone else's thoughts. I agree.
I think Arteta wants somebody who he can genuinely mold and is a little bit younger, or somebody who he sees is more agile, who can move into different areas of the pitch and help out. Where Isak can do that, Sesko can do that. I just don't know if Thing can do that.
I'm with you, man, and I just think it's a case of I just don't think you're a flavour of the month at Arsenal anymore. I think they were on you a couple of years ago. I remember Charles Watt saying we spoke at London Coley with you, and I've never had a conversation with Osimhen, with Napoli or his agent, but I just feel there's a bit probably a bit too much moving parts. Like he's going to be on big wages. There's a big commission, and respectfully to Galatasaray, you know, Man United have more money than sense. Arsenal needed a forward, Spurs needed a forward, bare teams need PSG. Nobody went for you. And I know it's not the same, but it's a bit like Ivan Toney, who, you know, a bit like how me and you are making the stream. You couldn't pay Tony to shut up, was twerking for a move. You ended up in Saudi. So is it a thing where unless your fans were questioning why that's going on, but if you're working within the world of football, there's something around that. Trying to skim through these quickly, people. Anyway, so we
Nico Williams. What I don't understand is people who watch La Liga tell me he's shit, but then the people who watch La Liga who I actually rate tell me he's not and he's amazing.
I think I see both, man. I think you need a lot of work. I do think there's a player in there. I don't think you'd be, well, by default you would because of the players we've got, maybe not statistically. I don't feel you would be a game changer. Like how you see him, if we signed Rice again today, we know we're going up the levels. I think he's a good player. He would help us. I do think Arteta would have to really work and get those. You see like his highlights, yeah? That has to become the minimum. I think he's got the ability, but we need to craft it. So I'm for that because we're not going to go and get the household. You know, me and you could sit here and speak about the best left wingers in the world. We're not going to grab them. We've gone over Saliba yesterday, so I won't waste time. Real Madrid are linked with Calafiori. We won't get in that. Berta starts this week, apparently, so we'll get into that. What I wanted to go through is David Ornstein said, this is a personal opinion rather than sourced information. I don't see Arsenal signing both Zubamendi and Gomares. We know of historical Gomares links, but that ship seemed to have sailed, and I'm not sure I can envision Arsenal paying the kind of money Newcastle would ask for, especially given he turns 28 this year. So where are you at with that? And we've gone over that.
He's probably right. We probably won't get both, but we.
Would you do it if you could get both? Would you do it?
You need to get 2 midfielders though.
If you could do Zubamendi and Gomares without talking about strikers and that, would you sanction it?
Yeah.
How do you feel about the 300 million shouts? Because apparently we posted heavy financial results. Ornstein is saying
when is the season tickets renewed? When is the season ticket renewal?
Probably now, bro. Probably now. And why would Gomares leave, man? He said, when I leave this club, I want the fans to sing my name like they do Alan Shearer. Anything can happen, but yeah.
They already do.
And he probably wants them to do it more. He's a Brazilian Geordie, as they say, man. Again, I'm not condemning or endorsing this ITK because I'm at the point, definitely with Isak, until he signs, nobody cares. But he said he understands Isak favours a move to Arsenal over Liverpool if he decides to leave Newcastle this summer, likely to push for a move if they miss out on Champions League football. Arsenal prepared to pay 100+ million for his services. He then said 130 million could do it. Are you doing that? Where are you at with that? 23 goals this season as well.
If it's 130, I'm still doing it.
Fair play. And then look at it. The number 14 shirt's free. Look at the way he's looking at Omri. It could happen. It could happen. Kivior is reassessing his future at Arsenal this summer with the defender in search of game time. Last summer, the poll attracted Premier League and European inquiries, and Arsenal are now willing to part ways for a reasonable fee. How do you feel about that, especially with Tomiyasu injured, Tini going, Zini's probably going, and you got, yeah. Where you at with that?
We need to bring somebody else in who's quality if we're going to lose all these defenders.
I saw your tweet about Julian Alvarez. Talk to me.
If Isaac is worth 150, Julian Alvarez, and we can get him for at least 120, why not?
What convinces you so much with him?
His ability to make movements in the 10 position in the wings and his ability to score goals at a high rate. I think he could come back into the Premier League and bag 20 plus.
You think he could do that for Arsenal?
I don't think he want to leave, though, because he wanted to go to Madrid so bad.
Sunny Spain, man. Why would you come back to England where 1 minute is sunny like now, then it's going to rain, man? Arsenal are prepared to sell a notable player in a bid to raise funds for summer arrivals. Hasn't given a clue on that, but how does that make you feel?
If it's Odegaard and we're going to go and get another number 10, why not?
Arsenal are considering a move for Ajax's 19-year-old defender Hato, despite the emergence of Lewis Skelly at left back. He's got 100 appearances for Ajax at just turning 19, essentially. You having him?
How much
I'm having him. The thing is, we have to hope Ajax do us a deal, because if I'm Ajax, I'm running it up. Because he's linked with everybody. I'd be prepared to spend 50 odd million quid on him, you know, maybe more. I can't lie, I believe in his potential, but then I'm a hypocrite because we've been talking about
40 million. They're saying 40 million.
They'll say a bit more, but 40, 50, I'm getting it done. I cannot lie to you. I'm getting it done. I think he's truly going to have a great future in the game. And then that's the long-term Gabriel replacement. In the short and medium term, it's another defensive option and another left-back option. But we just need to keep buying guys from Ajax. Clearly, Ajax don't do us like how Man United are getting done. We actually get decent players. Ajax might be the thing.
Deluded, I'm going to have to go. This guy's having a
No, it's mine. I was going to ask you, finally, before I let you cut, you taking Darwin Núñez? Fair play. Let people know they can find you, man.
Darwin Núñez, do we want to lose?
I mean, your kid's crying, so I think we've understood. Even your kid don't want Darwin Núñez, man. How old's your kid, by the way?
He's 1 year and like 5 months.
Bro, get him outside. You need to do kick-ups, man. This is how you get in Hayland and whatnot, man.
He's already kicking the ball. He's mad.
You need to get him signed, man. But hey, a gal has been amazing. Let people know they can find you. Let me let you go do daddy duties, man.
Yo, Egal talks football. You guys already know it is. Sorry, man. It's too loud.
It's mine now. Everyone's got kids. Just continue saying what you're saying, man. You ain't ruining nothing. It's quite funny.
Egal talks football. You guys already know what it is. You can catch me on YouTube, TikTok, and I'm also on Twitter at Egal, EGTV Egal.
So yeah, man. When he's not doing daddy duties, he's either here on his own platform. We're gonna let him get out of here and back at 4. Like, comment, share, sub. Peace. Always